Okay, so I've sewed around and I have my little opening. What you want to do is flip this inside out. That's why I said leave that little hole there so you can actually get this done, because you don't want to have that line shown. So I'm just slowly trying to flip this out, going through that hole without stretching out my stitches too much. Just like a little pillowcase. Okay, and here we are. So now you got that nice clean finish, all that good stuff. So now all we have to do now is just fill it up with the filling. You can use polyester fill, or what I like to use is my loose ends. So I just shove them in here and just keep shoving until I'm completely filled up with everything. So I'm going to do that while off camera and get this all filled up, and then we're going to start sewing in the ends here, and we're going to start doing our little characteristics. And when I'm doing the characters, the part right here that goes in between the eyes, I'm just going to start stitching it on top of my stitches like I normally do. And of course the buttons is going to be the difficult part. I forgot about the buttons, but we'll do that. We'll leave this opening up for that. Okay. Okay, I've stuffed it just a little bit. I haven't fully stuffed it yet. I'm stopping here for a minute. Okay, so if you guys are going to be putting buttons for the eyes, which I'm going to, I am going to leave this open until I'm done with the character part of that, with like the arms and the part that goes over the forehead and everything, and the beak, I mean. So I can actually sew these on when I'm doing it. So I can just stick my hand in here and just go in and out and where I want my eyes to be at. And these are what I'm going to use for my eyes. If you are just going to crochet your own eyes, which you just pretty much like chain up 4 and double crochet 12 in the first chain and then slip stitch, you can make like just perfect little eyes about this big, and you can sew those on if you don't have any buttons. But I'm going to use buttons because it just looks so much cuter. So I'm going to leave this open for right now before I finish stuffing it, because I want to make some room so I can stick my hand in there and actually sew in my eyes. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to start doing the arms and the beak part. So I'm just going to start with the beak part first. Okay, so I have my black here, and I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain up 35. So yarn over, pull it through the loop, that's a chain. Yarn over, pull it through that loop, chain. So that's 2 chains. I'm going to continue on until I have 35. Okay, so I have a chain of 35. I am now going to single crochet into my second chain from my hook. Not this one, but this one. Now I'm just going to single crochet in every chain all the way to the end, just putting 1 single crochet in each of the chains. Okay, so that's my last one, and I've already did my single crochet. I'm going to turn my work around. I am not chaining up, I am just going to single crochet into the second stitch from the hook. So instead of single crocheting in this one, I am going into this one and single crocheting. I'm skipping that stitch, that first stitch, and single crocheting across. Every time I do that, I'm decreasing by one, and this is going to start forming into a triangle. So now we're just going to single crochet in every stitch around. I mean all the way down. I keep saying around because we did all that pillow part. Okay, my last one, turn my work around. We're going to skip that first one, move to the second stitch, and single crochet. Now we're just going to single crochet in every stitch all the way down the row. Okay, my last one, I'm turning my work around. Skip that first stitch, single crochet in the second stitch, and I'm going to single crochet all the way across. And my last one, turn my work around. I'm going to skip that first stitch and move to the second, single crochet, and single crochet all the way across. We're going to continue this until there's like 10 stitches remaining on the top here, and you can count your stitches like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When there is 10 left on the very top here, that we're going to start changing color. So I'm just going to keep on single crocheting across, skipping the first one. As you can see, it's already starting to get that angle, and that's what I want, and it's doing that on both sides. So this is slowly going to be turning into a triangle, and I'm just going to continue single crocheting all the way across. When I turn, I'm skipping that first stitch, moving to the second, and single crocheting across. So I'm going to do mine, you do yours. If you need to press pause to catch up, go ahead. I'm going to continue off camera and finish this up with the last stitch. I'm going to have 10 stitches remaining on the top here. So I'm just going to continue just single crocheting all the way across, just like what I'm doing right now. When I get to my last one, of course, I am going to turn my work around, skip that first stitch, move to the second, and single crochet. And I'm just going to continue that until I have 10 stitches remaining. I'll meet you there. Okay, so I have 10 remaining on the top here. I am going to fasten off from here now. Now I'm going to change color, and I'm going with this beautiful gold color for the beak. I'm going to turn my work around, attach my yarn to the very corner of where we slip stitched at, chain up 1, and I'm going to single crochet across in each stitch. Turn my work around. I'm going to skip that first one, move to the second stitch, and single crochet across. And I'm just going to repeat the same process until I have 2 stitches remaining on the top here. Turn my work around. Bit tangled up here. There we go. Okay, so I'm skipping the first one, moving to the second, and single crocheting. Turn my work around and repeat the same thing over and over until I have 2 remaining. So I skip that first one, move to the second, and single crochet across. Turn, single crochet in the second stitch, single crochet across. You just keep doing that until you have 2 remaining. I have 4 stitches right now, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have another 2 rows to go. Now I have 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. And here's my last row. Now I have 2. I am going to fasten off, leaving a tail so I can sew it in. take my needle now and I'm going to sew in these ends before I sew it on. That way they don't get in the way. Okay, so now that I have that done, this is our beak. Bring that pillow back over here. And as you can see, we are going to pretty much line this up to the very top here. You can actually use pins and pin it down if you like. But here, let me flip it upside down. Get a better look. So, this is upside down. And here's my pillow right underneath it. Trying to adjust this camera for you guys. Just take this and we are going to, you can just pick any side of the pillow you like. I have my opening at the end, so this is the very top. So as you can see, you just line it up. You can put pins down to make sure it stays. And I'm just going to start sewing this on from here. And let me get a better view on the camera part so you guys can have a better look at this. Okay, this is a side viewed part. My hands are right here. So as you can see, what I did here is I have it right at the very end. And I'm going to use black to sew this up here. And I'm getting enough yarn to go all the way around. And a little bit extra just to be safe. So I'm going to thread my needle. Okay. What I like to do is put a knot at the end, just like leave it till about that much so I could sew it in, and put a little knot so I can actually stop there when I'm pulling it through. Okay, so anywhere on here, just make sure you're getting the very end. I like to pinch it so I can see my stitches, and you see how it goes black, white, black, white, black, white. I'm gonna grab every black one there is and then the very first stitch chain right here that we did, and start sewing this on just like so. And I'm going to go across first just to make sure that this is set on right. So I'm grabbing that black one, I'm grabbing the second stitch, and I'm just going to continue sewing this on. Okay, my last one. And that side is done, as you can see. Now I'm starting to make sure it's nice and down so I can make sure I can see my stitches here. And I'm just gonna just eyeball it here where it's landing at, making sure it's nice and flat. And I'm just right where my stitch is at. I hope you guys can see this okay. Right where your stitches are landing at, right on the bottom of it, right there. Just start sewing it on, and I'm going to start working on the side here. And I'm just grabbing my top stitch and start sewing it on, going in each of the rows. If you want to have the beak all yellow, you can change color from here and start using yellow, but I'm just continue on with the black. I'm at the very end. I'm getting that very last tip. Now there's 2 stitches on the top here. I'm going to get those 2 stitches. A lot of sewing. And then we're going to just come up at the end here. And like I said, I'm just eyeballing it, making sure everything is set down perfectly, because you want to make sure everything is right where you want it. Remember, you still got to fill this up, so I'm just laying it nice and flat down. Okay, so I'm done with the ends here. I'm going to tie my 2 ends together, but I'm going to cut off a little bit of the slack here before I do that. So I'm going to just tie these 2 ends together and then sew them in. Okay, so there is our beak. Now, the eyes will go right about here above the beak a little bit, or you can put them right next to there, depending on where you want them. I think I like them closer. Yeah, I'm going to put them right about there. So I'm just using this line, making sure it's like at that level. And I'm going to take my white yarn here, cut a little bit off here so I can sew it in. I'm going to stick my hand right inside. See how I have the opening here? I'm going right inside here. I have all those loose ends, so it's kind of hard to get in there. So I'm working all the way up, moving all that stuff down, pressing it down. There we go. So now I have a clean surface. You can see my finger moving around. I'll put my needle right through wherever I want it. Move it that little bit over more. Okay, that's a good spot for it. A little bit higher. Yes, right there. So I'm gonna pull that up. I'm leaving my tail hanging out just a little bit so I could see where it's at, because it's hard to see it. And then bring this back in. I'm gonna use my finger as my guide. Make sure you don't poke yourself. I do everything nice and slow. And one more time, just to make sure it stays on there and doesn't come off in the wash machine or anything like that. Go right back in, pull it through, go right back in again, using my hand as a guide, pull it through. Now I'm going to take the two ends and I'm just going to put this inside out just a little bit. There's my two ends right there. And I'm going to tie those together, securing it. And I'm not going to worry about my ends because they're going to be a part of my stuffing. So nice and tight. Again. And put that in there. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So my eye is on there. Let's get my other eye on there. This thing is coming out really nice. I'm doing this as I go. So it's just eyeballing it. Probably do another one a little bit better later. Maybe easier. When we're working on projects, just do it the way we see it. Yeah, that's good. So I have it in, pull it, right back in again, put my hand through, and got it. Go right back in again, and do the same thing. Okay, so now I'm going to tie those two ends together as well. Let's see if I can find them. I already know where one's at, but the other one's missing. I wonder why. I got another little piece of thread in here. Okay, so I'm just going to tie them together, and then we're going to work on the arms and sewing those in. Okay, so now we're going to do its little flipper. You're going to make 2 of these. We're going to start off by making a slip knot. Put your hook inside, release, and chain up 20. I'm going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook and single crochet across. Okay, so I'm going to chain up 1, turn my work around, single crochet into the same chain as the chain 1, and we're going to single crochet across, except the last 2 stitches at the end we are going to do a decrease. So just single crochet until you get to those last 2 stitches. Okay, so I'm at my last 2 stitches. I'm just going to go into my stitch, pull through, go into the next stitch, pull the yarn through. I have 3 on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a decrease. Now I'm going to turn my work around. I am not chaining up. I'm just going to skip the first one, move to the second one, single crochet, and single crochet all the way across. Now I'm at the end here. I'm going to chain up 1, turn my work around, single crochet into the same stitch as the chain 1, single crochet all the way across, leaving 2 remaining undone because we're going to do another decrease. So these 2 I'm going to leave undone so I can do a decrease. Okay, so now I'm going to do my decrease, stitch in that one, stitch in that one, yarn over, pull all the way through, there's my decrease. Now I'm going to turn my work around, I'm going to skip that first stitch, move to the second, single crochet, and single crochet all the way down. And I'm going to chain up one, turn my work around, single crochet into the same stitch as the chain one. I'm going to single crochet all the way to the end, leaving 2 remaining undone so I can do another decrease. Okay, so there's my 2 remaining. I'm going to do my decrease. Now I'm going to turn my work around, skip that first stitch, move to the second, single crochet, and single crochet all the way across. So now I'm done here with my flipper, and this is what it should look like. It has like the end with a little angle here and this side nice and flat. Now I'm going to leave a tail to go all the way around this so I can sew it in. So I'm just going to pull this tail right through my stitch here. Pull nice and tight. Now let's bring that cute little pillow over here. And I'm going to set up the camera so you guys can get a better look. Okay, so here is the pillow. Very, very cute. I have my opening here still. I haven't sewed it in, and I have to still fill this in, but now we got to put those arms on. So I have both flippers here, and we're going to put them on the side right here. Make sure the long part, actually it goes like that, I think. Yeah. And we're going to start sewing these on. So I'm threading my needle. And I'm gonna just eyeball it like I've been doing, and I'm gonna see exactly where I would like this to be at. If I want it more here or the other way. I like it this way, so we'll see. So I'm just eyeballing it, see exactly where I want this to lay at. I'm thinking right underneath the beak would be really cute. So I want to make sure I get it right in there. So I'm thinking right there is very good. So wherever that has landed at. See that okay? I'm going to just line it up to where it's at with the black, just like I did with the top of this, and I'm going to start by sewing in this part first, going across. I'm not going to worry about that loose end because I'm going to use that later to tie the two ends together. So I'm going into the black like I did with the top. So now it's sewed on. From there, I can angle it the way I want it. Just make sure you line it up perfectly wherever you want it, because the other two will line up together. So I like that right there, so I'm just going to use my thumb to hold it down and start sewing away. And I'm grabbing those top stitches and sewing across. Move that other flipper out of the way until I'm done here. Now I'm working on the top part now. Trying to get you guys to see as much as possible. Okay, so I'm gonna just go back up on this row again just to get to that loose end so I can tie them together. Okay, so there's my two ends. I'm going to tie them together and then sew my ends together. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other flipper on the other side, just making sure everything is lined it up perfectly. Now for the other flipper, again, I'm just eyeballing it, making sure I'm lining it up exactly the same way as I did the other one. And I'm just eyeballing it, making sure it's perfect there. And I'm liking this right here, so I'm going to grab that stitch. And I'm going to start sewing on the same thing. So I'll meet you there when I'm at the end. Do the same thing to the other one. Just make sure you're eyeballing it perfectly. I'm just laying it down, making sure everything is exactly right. Make sure you get that right. If you didn't have to use a ruler, try using a ruler or something. Just make sure that's straight. Okay, I've gone ahead and stuffed my pillow as much as I can, and I'm ready to sew in my ends. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and start sewing the ends together and complete this beautiful, cute little pillow that we just crocheted together. Okay, so my last one, I'm going to tie the two ends together. This is the end where we just tied in from this one and this one, and I grabbed the black one so it goes together. And I'm just going to feed this right through there, anywhere, pretty much. Start sewing in this end so it's hidden inside. Cut the loose end off. Sew in the other one. Okay, so now I'm just going to keep on playing with the yarn that's in there until it's nice and the way I want it. And I'm going to lay this nice and flat right here. Just try to flatten it out the bottom as much as you can, just like a little part, so you can actually get the feet on there. And I'm going to put this aside and we're going to start crocheting the feet. Okay, so for the feet, we're going to go back with the gold, the same color we used for the beak, or yellow, whatever color you're going to use. I'm going to make a slip knot. Okay, so for the little slip and the little flippers or the feet, we're going to do these. And it's pretty simple to make. I'm going to show you exactly how I made this. We're going to make a slip knot. And we're going to chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are going to double crochet into the first chain that we did. We're going to put 11 of them in there. So 11 double crochets into that first chain. So here's our first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now I'm going to chain up 2. That center, you can just pull the loose end and it comes in. We're going to turn this around. We're going to double crochet in the same stitches to chain 2. And now we're going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. And I believe that's the last one. Yes, that's the last one. So now I'm just going to slip stitch to fasten off. Pull it all the way through, and we're going to sew in our ends here before we sew it on. And I just go around the little circle area and then come back around again, and it closes it up really good. So once you have two of them, we're going to sew these on to the bottom of that area. So I have my pillow here, this flat part right here where I want my little feet to go. I'm going to line them up with the black part here, and you're just going to pretty much eyeball these again, and you're going to sew them just like that on here. So I start by sewing them from the bottom here, of course, the tip to tip. Which, let me make sure this is exactly where I want it. Yes, I'm angling it from the beak up here, making sure the middle part's like right in between. See that? And then I'm just gonna lay this out. And I'm using the gold. I could go with the black, but I'm just going to use the last of what I have in my gold because I'm just using the scraps that I have, the little balls I have. And I'm going to start sewing this little foot on. Okay, so there's one of my foots, and I'm going to touch the other one. See how I did that? So when I come around, I just use the loose end. I'm just grabbing those top stitches while I'm sewing this on. So now I'm going to start coming up. All my stitches here. Now when you get here, I want these feet to attach to each other. So I'm going to start grabbing from this one to this one. Make sure you're grabbing from the right one it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like so. And now I'm going to go back up again. Just like so. Now for the other little footsie. Okay, so now I'm at the end here, and I'm just going to get that very last one, making sure it's in there. Tie my 2 ends together and sew them in. So now our cute little adorable pillow is finished. I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. Until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.